Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today for the first time on this channel we are playing F1 2022. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, put your notifications on, trying to get the grind to 1000 subscribers. Took a little bit of a break last week for a bit busy with college, but back at it this week. Make sure to join my Discord server in the description as well. If you want to race in this league, you can find the link in the description. So if you ever feel that throughout this video you want to get involved in the action, you want to compete for over £700 worth of prizes, hit the link in the description and you can join me and you can race in this league. But anyway, first round of the season, season 8 of the F1WL Racing League, racing for Mercedes in Tier 3. So just coming out now of the pits to start our first qualifying lap. We have a little bit of traffic, we're going to have to let this Ferrari go, and that's really not going to help us at the start of the season, as we've now kind of got a little bit of a worse run towards the line, but still going to go for it anyway and see what this first lap can do for us. We're not really going to try anything crazy here, take any risks, go full send, end up crashing into the wall. Just going to get a nice little banker lap going on, and then gradually increase the pace throughout the session once we get a little bit more confidence in the car. There's already so much traffic. We waited a little bit late to get this first lap done. We left the pits once everyone had done one lap round, so we do have a lot of traffic that we're going to need to navigate here. We have David does vids in the Ferrari ahead of us also on a lap, so it wasn't the best of timing for us. We are a little bit faster than he is, so I'm hoping now we aren't going to catch him while he's on his hot lap, otherwise that's going to be a bit of a tricky situation, as now braking heavily for the chicane. This was really hard to get right. If you get too much on the curb on the inside, it can really unsettle the car, but we keep it pretty clean, as the Ferrari ahead was really lagging like crazy. You'll see throughout this race that his Wi-Fi is just all over the place, and spoiler alert for obviously, as you're going to see through the race, his Wi-Fi being really terrible. Spoiler alert, he does get banned and given a notice that unfortunately he's not going to be able to race until he gets that sorted out. It's just not really fair for other drivers to have to be really cautious trying to pass him yeah, when his Wi-Fi is in that state. So hoping he can rejoin the grid soon once that issue is sorted. But just coming across the final few corners now for our first lap as the AlphaTauri, facing the wrong way, not what you want to be doing in the first race of the season, to see where his first lap can put us. And his P4 1.5 tenths of our rival, I would say, Hugo, who we're going to be fighting towards the top of the season. So 1.5 tenths probably we can make up somewhere. So yeah, not the best first lap, but obviously it's just a banker. But just taking a look at the timings, currently P5 and P4 for me, and ST not 3 for two Mercedes teammates, so we're around 7 tenths a second off pole, so not really the best of us for our banker laps, so we're going to have to definitely try to improve on our fast laps. As we're watching Dan Super now, again one of our rivals for this season, coming around the final few corners, and it looks like he is going to go on to pole position, and he does, a 1:24.1. Dan Super, a really good qualifier. Not the best in race pace necessarily, but definitely a great qualifier. So we do need to be aiming around that in the 124. So just coming across now for our second lap. We have a lot more clean air than we had last time. No more interruptions of traffic. Trying to just make sure that I can absolutely nail turn 1, hitting the curb nicely, a bit too nicely, as we take a wild ride going across the curb there. Way too much curb to take there. Luckily we have more fuel on board for the situation, so we were able to recharge the battery and go for a second lap, trying not to make the same mistake again, taking a little bit less curb than we did last time and getting on the power a lot earlier. And we've already gained nearly 1.5 tenths coming through there, foot to the floor for this corner this time, not lifting like we did in our banker, and we're nearly 4 tenths up, and we've only done 2 corners, so definitely this is going to be a much better lap from us. Early braking for this hairpin, swinging it around to the outside, making sure we can get the best possible run, making sure all our gear changes are on point to make sure that we can maximise our straight line speed. There's AlphaTauri ahead of us. I'm not sure he is on the lap, so I'm hoping that he's not going to be too much of an obstacle for us. Making sure now to get this chicane right, really tricky to get wrong with. You take a little bit too much curve there, the car unsettles. If you were able to spot, we took a little bit of a slide to the left, and we are dropping quite a few tenths that we've gained. We've lost about 2 or 3 tenths from that little mistake. We are still up though, but not as up as we could be. We're trying to come now to this tricky left-hander. We need to make sure that we can get on the throttle very, very cautiously. It really is tricky to get this corner right, and it really is easy to lose the back end if you are too aggressive on the throttle. The AlphaTauri gets out of our way, and we are around 4 tenths of a second up. This is by far the worst section on the track. It's really slippy. Taking it in 5th gear, minimal throttle, making sure that we find the exact right time to put our foot to the floor, flat out through this final corner now, and then coming across to the last corner, foot to the floor, powering down to the main straight across the line, and it's a 1:24.7. It's still P7 for us. and that's going to be the end of our qualifying session. We don't have enough time to go and set another lap. We've been dropped now to P9, so really not the best qualifying from us in the pre-season test race, which unfortunately I didn't stream. We did qualify third. Obviously, for quite a few people were sandbagging their times, and it really does show here. P9 for us and P11 for our teammate at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix round 8. Not round 8, season 8, round 1 of the F1WL Racing League. So our qualifying pace historically hasn't been that good, but our race pace definitely does make up for it. So we just need to make sure we don't get caught up in any incidents, starting a little bit further back than we would like, not with the top drivers of his tier. So yeah, just need to make sure we don't get into any trouble. Jimmy, though, the Aston Martin, who is on pole, has been disconnected, and we are trying now to invite him, but we're not able to find him, and the race is starting. So unfortunately, Jimmy in P1 is not going to be able to start this race. It is now 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. A little bit of a delayed reaction for us. We just need to make sure that we can get past David with the laggy Wi-Fi. ST Noffy gets a better start than us. We let him through. We don't want to be fighting our teammate. Belakos in the Aston Martin up the inside in the P10. We make a little bit of contact with AlphaTauri Lewis, and he's been hit by, I think, the Alpha Male of Monkey D-Van. We've lost about 2 positions off that start, being cautious, but hopefully it pays off in the long run, as I can imagine some of the cars ahead of us are going to get involved in a little bit of a squabbling and maybe take each other out, as we're just trying to follow the Aston Martin a Bill now. I can see my teammate ST Nocky, he's complaining in the party chat that David is just impossible to try and race. His Wi-Fi is lagging all over the place, and yes, as I did mention, he isn't racing anymore once that gets fixed, unfortunately, but we just need to make sure that we can clear him as quickly as we can. We don't want to be behind a laggy driver, losing a lot of time, as our teammate just trying to pick apart the Ferrari. The two Ferraris, P6 and P7 ahead of us. It would be good if the two Mercedes of me and ST Noppy can get past, as we're running a pretty low aero setup, so we are gaining a little bit on our teammate, but we don't want to be fighting him this early into the race. So as Dan Super, one of the drivers who was in contention for the win, has spun out, and yeah, he's pretty much bottled that now, so that's one of the major threats for this race disposed of. The McLaren of Dan Super not having the best of start, dropping pretty much into last place now. That is really unfortunate for him, as we're now trying to follow our teammate ST Nockery, trying to just get past David Does Vids, but we really do need to proceed with caution. One wrong move and his car, his laggy car, could take us out. Jimmy in P9, still not having any luck trying to reconnect to the lobby. That really is unfortunate for him. He was kicked right before the lights went out, so it really just shows the state of his game. It's not very good, very unlucky for our teammate Jimmy. As ST Nocky now tries to get past the ghosted car of David, we finally managed to get past the Ferrari. It's now my turn to try and get past him. We're going to use some of our the aid of DRS to help us. The slipstream of our teammate as well, finally getting past the Ferrari, and now me and ST Nocky are unleashed to the pack ahead of us. Quite a big train of cars so far. This field really hasn't spread that much, but we're just now trying to follow our teammate and get closer to the Ferrari of Apollo, who is on hard tyres. So we really do need to make use of the medium tyres that we are on. Try and make a move early before our tyres go off, and he has the advantage. As our teammate ST Nocky, he goes a little bit wide through that corner. He's lost the position to David Does Vids. Thankfully, we didn't make any contact. I'm hoping that he doesn't have any damage, but that was a pretty unfortunate snap of oversteer for him. He was able to correct it, but yeah, he has lost a little bit of time for that. But that has now put us into P6. P5 now, as Brandon has just pitted after sustaining some damage on the first lap, so we're unleashed now to try and chase after the Ferrari of Apollo. As I mentioned, we are on the medium tyres, so we do need to make this move quickly. We don't want to burn our tyres out. Trying to use the DRS on the main straight to get past the Ferrari, and we just do not have enough momentum currently, so we're going to have to stick behind him for now and see where we can make a move. In P3, Kyle is under pressure from the Ferrari of Apollo now. Is just going to be our chance to try and make a move, as there's a little bit of contact between Kyle and Apollo. We have to slam onto the brakes, losing all of our momentum. We could have tried to get past Apollo there. He has a little bit of snap of oversteer on the exit. Surely this is our chance now. We haven't been too conservative with our ERS. We only have 3% left. We're going to try. Can we make a move around the outside? Apollo places his car perfectly, and we didn't have enough momentum, enough speed to try and get past Apollo. So we're going to have to play the waiting game here with the Ferrari. Apollo has gone past our teammate Kyle. Well, not teammate, our academy teammate in the Mercedes Academy, as Apollo has just dropped it towards the exit of the final corner. Apollo has dropped it, so our rivals are really not having the best race. Apollo and Dan Super have both spun out, as we are coming in for a stop now. We'll be going onto the hard tyres. Lap 12 of this race. Myself and Kyle and Hilsey has come into the pits. However, Hilsey has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Getting ready with the clutch now. A good stop from the team. We've got an optimal turn in, meaning that we got a pretty fast pit stop. So we just need to hope that we don't get put out into any traffic. We can see that the Alfa Romeo coming up to us now, Monkey D, and we need to make sure that we get a pretty good outlap. We don't want to have any cars between myself and Kyle. So trying now to get some heat into the tyres. I can see the proximity about to our right. It is Monkey D, and we're going to come up behind some traffic. Hopefully though, well not hopefully, we will get the DRS on Monkey D-Van onto this first straight, so we should be pretty routine pass forwards. We aren't on the same strategy, we aren't on the same race, so I can't imagine he's going to make this too hard forwards. We're going to use a little bit of our ERS just to make sure that we're confident in this overtake, just to make sure that we can get past him as quickly as possible. We don't want to be behind the car, we're not racing, losing a lot of time. We ideally want to be catching up to Kyle as Monkey D-Van tries to hang it around the outside. We give him the room that he needs, he tries to swoop back onto the inside, we hang it around the outside, getting a better exit. However, Monkey D-Van now has the DRS on us, so he isn't going to go out without a fight. Monkey D-Van trying to go for a move on our outside. We're going to have to defend the inside line carefully, making sure we don't run into each other onto this tricky left-hander that is very easy to do. Two cars going side by side, but we have enough respect and enough space, and yeah, great battle with Monkey D-Van, but our newer tyres definitely helped us out there. As in the background you can see Dan Super trying to go for an audacious dive bomb on Hugo. About 10 laps have passed now from that cut. Nothing really happened, we were just in clean air by ourselves. Kyle now in P1 with the fastest lap, Hilsey in P2 with 8 seconds of penalty, so ideally we need to gain within those 8 seconds, and that could be P2 forwards. As Hugo now looking to the back of our cars. Hugo's dropped it on the exit, Hugo has spun. Is now Dan Super in P2, not P2, in P4, coming after us for P3. However, Dan Super has 9 seconds of penalty. Our rival, who spun on the first lap of the race, has done a really good job to try and claw back into the field. We're going to be a sitting duck here on the straight. We have no ERS and we don't have DRS. Dan Super tries to go down our inside. We hang it. We do some good. We have a pretty good defense there. However, Dan Super is going to have the DRS on the exit. I can imagine he's draining his ERS now, trying to make sure that he can get past us, our rival. This is our rival for the championship, so we need to make sure that we don't go out without a fight. We're going to try and hang it down the inside. Dan Super gets a switch back on us. We're trying to defend now. What can we do here? As me and Dan Super, we've made contact. Dan Super has spun us round. Dan Super into the wall, and you can see now via mirror his tyre has came off his car. Dan Super is out of the race. We've lost the position to Hugo and to Apollo. We're down from P3 to P5 after some contact with Dan Super. Hugo now, I think he has an illegal overtake, and yeah, he's letting us through. I think he must have gotten an illegal overtake for overtaking us under the yellow flags, but it now raises the question. The whole race has been thrown up into the air. Do we stay out or do we pit? We're currently discussing in the Mercedes voice chat, the Mercedes Discord voice chat, but I think for us it's best if we stay out. I think a lot of cars ahead of us have penalties, and we need to make sure we're as close to them as possible to capitalise. But taking a look now from the F1WL Twitch stream with Luigi as a commentator for what happened on that incident between me and Dan Super. So let's have a look. Let me know in the comments whose fault you think it was.
Yeah, straight. He has a better exit, way better exit than Mikkel does. He gets the S enabled once again for the top 3. The fight is for the top 3 here. He's got a penalty too though, so let's not forget about that. Mikkel trying to defend quite well. It's quite risky to go there as they both make contact. I knew that would happen there. Dan Super retires. Is that causing a safety?
Thankfully though, myself and Dan Super have known each other for quite a few seasons of F1WL, so obviously post race, no hard feelings. Both drivers apologising to each other and an agreement not to report each other. So some good respect from myself and Dan Super, just one of those racing incidents. However, the safety car will be coming in this lap. We have 2 laps to try and stay within those 8 seconds of Hilsey. Maybe we can even challenge Kyle for the win. Hugo behind us on the hard tyres. The Red Bull, our rival for this season, who spun in the middle stages of his race, doing a great job to come back and be in the top 3 fight. So we just need to make sure that we don't get any warnings, we don't get any time penalties. However, Hugo behind us on the hard tyres, which are about 5 laps younger than ours, so I can imagine he's going to be all over our rear end. So we really do need to keep our wits about us on the safety car restart. 2 laps now left of this race. Our teammate Kyle busy fighting Hilsey, and we're busy looking in our rear view mirror, seeing Hugo gaining the Red Bull in our rear view mirror. there is a battle between Red Bull and Mercedes this season, just like there is in real life throughout the year. So this isn't a battle that we're going to submit to. We need to make sure that we can defend, get our elbows out, make sure that Hugo knows that we aren't going to go out without a fight for this one. As we don't have DRS, obviously the safety car has came out. We have to wait 3 laps for the DRS to be enabled, and there isn't 3 laps left of this race, so we aren't going to be getting DRS. However, I can imagine that regardless if we get passed by Hugo or not, we will be on the podium. I can't imagine David does vids catching up to us, but regardless, he isn't going to be classified in this race anyway due to the abnormal lag he's been suffering. So just keeping it careful through this section now, not getting into any slides or any oversteer like our teammate ST Nokri did, but the gap now 0.6 of a second between myself and Hugo. There's one more lap of racing to go. Mercedes versus Red Bull. It's almost a carbon copy of Abu Dhabi 2021, except for this time it's for P2 and not P1 and the championship. Taking a nice line into turn 1, making sure that we just don't lose any time. We need to stretch our legs as much as we can to Hugo. He's going to be all over us on the main straight. Hugo now 0.2 of a second. He got a really good run on the first corner. We're going to try and park it onto the apex for this hairpin. A little bit of dirty tactics, but you know, nothing crazy, not trying to take him out or anything. So just keeping our wits about us, trying everything we can. Hugo now with the ERS, he has so much more ERS than we do. We're going to defend the extreme inside Hugo. We're going to force him to go down that, around that outside. We're going to brake later than he does. Hugo locks up. We're going to try and hang it down the inside. Hugo has a better land than we do. He comes, he kind of cuts us off a little bit. Good racing by myself and Hugo. However, we do not have the ERS. We don't have the capacity to try and get that position back off Hugo. And now his new tyres, his fresher tyres, his more grip, he's just going to pull away from us now. So that was unfortunate to lose out to P2 on the last lap. However, it wasn't really a battle that I could see us having much point fighting. Otherwise, it would have just resulted in a crash. His newer tyres, he was going to pass us anyway, so it's best in those situations to just back out and bring the car home for what is still going to be P3. And after we started 9th, I think it was 9th to P3, still is a really good race. So I'm happy with how the first race of the season has gone, as we're now rounding the final corners, keeping it clean, bringing the car home for the podium. Coming out to the final corner, Kyle takes the checkered flag. He'll be in P2, but he'll be demoted due to penalties. We're weaving across the line now, celebrating his P3 on our very first race for Season 8 of the F1WL Racing League in Tier 3 at Abu Dhabi. You can see the full results here, P3 for myself, P9 for SG Nokri. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next race at Belgium next week. Thanks for watching.